Hello, everybody. Please excuse my voice. I lost it a couple days ago. It's finally starting to come back, but I wanted to come in here before we start this week's video. There was a little confusion in my last video on how I cut out Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. Somebody had mentioned that they felt that I was um, removing the baby Jesus from the scene, and that was far from the truth. So I want to show you exactly what was done and explain it and apologize for any confusion in that. That was not the intent. So right here is the piece that I'm discussing where there was some confusion. You'll see where I'm changing things up. And what I wanted to do, I didn't like the bump of baby Jesus's head dead center in there. So I wanted to change it, and I made it so that the baby is facing Mary. And you'll see right here, I make this line, and there's his head right there. I did not remove the baby Jesus. All right, thanks for listening. And now let's move on to this week's video.
Well, we're going to start a new one today. I did one of these quite a while ago. It's an African savanna scene. So basically what it consists of is a backer board. I'll show you that in a second. It's just pretty rough cut reclaimed fence pickets. And then I went out and got a 1/4 inch piece of Luan, I think is how you say it. Luan, whatever. Tomato. So, and then I'm going to cut a silhouette out, and let me show you what that silhouette's going to be of. All right, so this is what we're going to do. This is the backer board right here. It's just some fence pickets that I glued together. Their pocket hold on the back. And then this is the 1/4 inch piece that we're going to use. I will be cutting out the silhouette, and that'll get painted black. And I haven't yet decided on how I want to do that sun coming up. Now, this may look a little bit odd because that background is awfully dark. It is just some darker reds, oranges, and yellows in there. It'll be a little lighter looking once I get it done, and then that sun is gonna be painted on there. What I'm trying to decide is if I want to cut out a silhouette here or not, and then mount it to this, so underneath it. Anyhow, I'm going to go over to the scroll saw now, and I'm going to start cutting. And I think the throat on my scroll saw is 24 inches, and this is 22 tall, so let's hope it works. Well, that's all the way to the back, and the blade is going to be right about here, so that's going to be interesting to see how we do this. Now, if I can keep it and get around it this way, we're good, but I'm going to make this work. I am cutting this out, so I think what I'll do first, though, is I'm going to take some of this extra stuff out of here because I don't need all of that. So I'm going to remove that and then come back here. So for those of you keeping track at home, I am going to be using a number 3 modified geometry blade here. I wanted something a little bit smaller, more teeth to it, so that I have a smoother edge, so I have less sanding to do here. Well, there it is, all cut out, looking pretty good. That was really the easy part. The hard part's going to be painting that background to the way I want it. So that's going to be a lot of fun, but we're going to do this together and see what happens. All right, on we move. So there's the sun that we see behind our cutout. That will go here, just like that. You'll see there's two. I tried to use the nail and a pencil thing to make this first one, and man, did that suck. So I searched through my garage and I found something that worked perfectly for it, and I was able to just use it to give me a nice circle. So I already have a hole for my scroll saw, and I'm going to go in and cut this out. There's two ways to do this. I I could just paint this entire piece with the sunset that I want to have coming down. This is only going to be black. I may put a tinge of, no, this is going to be black. I'm not going to put any color to it. This will be sunset fading down, and then the sun will kind of be the opposite. So this is going to go from down here dark down into a lighter kind of a shade down this way. My sun's going to be opposite. It's going to start dark down here and go light here, so that we'll get a good contrast. But I'm cutting it out so there's a definite delineation here, so that we can really see that difference. And you'll see how it looks once we're all done there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut out on my scroll saw. So there we can see what I've done. I've cut out that sun, and I've rotated the wood around, and it just gives it that extra look, just that it's different. It's a separate piece. It's the same level as everything else, but just because I've turned it and I have these now not aligned, and you'll see once it's painted how that's going to end up looking. So I'm pretty happy there. I'm going to go ahead and set up, and I'm going to start painting. Not sure why I'm saying this, but I'm going to go ahead and paint this black first. As if I need to say it, you're going to see it. So let's get started. Perfect. So the silhouette is done. It's painted. Just has to dry. So now we're going to move on to the sunset. So here's what I'm going to do. I have rotated the sun around so it lines up. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this whole thing with the sunset on it. It's going to start out some blue up here and then fade into some reds and oranges and yellows as it comes all the way down to the bottom. So that's where we're going to start. Then once that's dry, I'll rotate this sun around, and then if it needs it, I can put some more yellows and what have you here so that that's at the top. And you're going to see the effect here in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and add some water so that I can blend things in much better. Try to keep this upper part somewhat wet. And then I'm going to go ahead and get some of this. This is actually an ultramarine blue that I'm using. And I want to get that right up across the top here. Now, I'm not too worried about getting that into my sun, so there isn't going to be much blue on the sun. I'll have to change that once we get going here. So the next, I'm going to go ahead and use some of this red. I want that fade down. I need to get it faded up into the blue, like that. Keep it super wet, really wet. And that allows you to fade the colors into each other, just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and get another red here. Actually, this is going to be more of a reddish orange maybe here, is what it's called. Not seeing much difference. How about I just go straight to orange? There we go. That's more what I'm looking for. Now I'm getting some more water in here. I'm sure you can tell. I'm going to add some yellow to it now. This is actually called orange yellow that I'm using, but it really is a yellow. The other option was a lemon yellow, and I did not like that one bit. Way too bright. Okay. So you can see we're getting here with our nice little sunset. Making sure everything's blending in just fine. And I'm going to start putting a little bit more of this blue and red down at the bottom. Now, a lot of this is going to be covered, but I want this to kind of blend back up in towards the top. Wipe some of that extra off of there. Now I want this to be really yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop a little bit of this bright yellow right in there, like so. And we're going to go ahead and blend that in. Just like that. And then start coming back up with our orange. All right. I'm going to call that a winner for the moment. So we're just going to let that sit and let this dry. And then I'm going to flip that sun around so that you can see what's happening. And I may need to do something else with the sun. I may need to add more color because I'm not sure I want that. I'm not sure I want this blue down at the bottom, but we'll see. Maybe it'll kick it off. We'll see. And I may need to change more down here. I'm very happy up here. Maybe here, not sure, but we'll check that out here in a minute. So there it is. We're going to take this and flip it. And it's going to go in this way. Just like so. And there's your sun. Just like that. Now, last but not least, this guy's going to go there. And there we have it. Just need to glue it down and put some finish coat on it. And this bad boy is complete. So let me get that going and I'll be right back so you can see how it looks all connected. All right, so what I've done is I've clamped the two sides together because we're starting to come away here a little bit. And then that was starting to go down, dip down. So I decided to go ahead and clamp there. We're going to let this sit and let this be hopefully as flat as possible. I already know that there's a little bit of warp in this lower board. We can see if I put this here, you can see that this is like moving here. So I need to wait until this is all dry and then glue this down and clamp it into place, which will not be a problem at all. Once it's glued down, this is flexible enough, it'll hold. And then it's just put the final coat on it and we're good to go.